What's up, folks? Matt here from Green Man Gaming, and we're here in London to check out some Battleborn. We've got Randy here from Gearbox. How you doing, Randy?
I'm doing great, Matt. Great to be with you guys. Can't wait to tell you more about the game.
Okay, so for those not in the know, could you just give us the elevator pitch for Battleborn?
Sure. Battleborn is we call it a hero shooter. It's a first-person shooter with a roster of 25 amazing characters that do a lot more than just shoot. They have swords, they have axes, they have bows, they punch people, magic, all sorts of stuff, set in a universe where only one star is left in the entire universe, and you, the Battleborn, are the superheroes who have risen up to save that star.
Cool. Let's just talk about the term hero shooter. You guys have kind of pioneered this term. Can you unpack it a little bit and tell us about all the ambitious stuff that's sort of packaged into those two words?
Sure. At Gearbox, we really love to mix stuff together. I mean, we did it with Brothers in Arms, adding kind of RTS type of squad control elements to shooters. With Borderlands, we mixed RPG and shooter and all sorts of stuff together. And Battleborn, we just kind of continued adding to that rich stew of a game that we have. So it certainly starts and plays like a shooter, that great, comfortable first-person control. It's got a mix of kind of MOBA and RPG elements in it, taking a team dynamic, taking a dynamic of mixing in NPCs in the competitive matches. And then we mix in some other stuff. There's a little fighting game influence. You have the grid, almost like Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat. You've got some tower defense in areas where you collect and build up structures to defend and all of that. So it literally is a mix of some of our favorite things. Hopefully people will find, just like we have, that it's a unique mix of things, but played through that comfortable first-person lens.
Cool. And when we take a look at the characters, there are kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, but broadly three different types of characters. You've got sort of attack characters, you've got defenders, and you've got support characters.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit more about how they break down and how they kind of complement one another?
Well, sure. I mean, one of the influences that I didn't mention before, but I love raids. I love MMOs, and I love going on, kind of challenging myself against dungeons. And in MMOs, they kind of came up with what they call the Holy Trinity. You have your damage dealer, your kind of defensive, tanky characters, and then your support characters that heal or protect and do other things. So we use that kind of broadly as the inspiration for the different type of ways that people like to play these games. In a team, we want to be sure that the team has roles, and you as a character have different things to do. So attack characters obviously just specialize in damage. There's a lot of variety in that. We have, ranged characters, snipers and so on. And we have melee characters. We have ones that specialize in AoE and all sorts of different ways to do that. Our defenders really specialize. They're bigger characters. They're tanky characters. And they're really good at absorbing or mitigating damage, but also mixed in with that, they're very good at kind of controlling the flow of battle. They typically have abilities that can knock back or stun or slow, really get in there, lock in with the enemy and control it so your attack characters can have a better shot, a better chance to take opponents down. And the support characters are kind of the broadest mix because they do a lot of different things. We have Miko, our healer, who is the mushroom-headed guy that is really good about just healing, just health. And then you have characters like Reyna, one of my personal favorite, who is able to overshield. She manipulates shields, but she also can mark the enemies, which puts a debuff on them. So in support, you get a lot of mix of that type of play between healing and shielding, buffing, debuffing, a lot of ways either to make your team better or the enemy team weaker.
Very cool stuff. Now, at Green Man Gaming, we like to do this thing called Top 3 each week. And with that in mind, what are and this is going to be hard because there are 25 of them, what are your top 3 characters or, your favorite characters to play as in Battleborn?
You always do this, and it's what's awesome is with Battleborn, for me, it's almost a week-to-week difference. I'm kind of ADHD, and it's like what's bright and shiny this week, so I kind of move around. Right now, the top 3 that I'm really feeling and loving, a classic favorite has always been Arendi. Arendi, our Chaos Witch. She jumps around, really frenetic, using magic, throwing shadow bolts, has this really awesome kind of timed eruption of damage called Shadow Pillar. Really cool kind of kinetic character. If you like motion, you like in and out, you like a lot of kind of just chaos in the battle. That's why we call her our Chaos Witch. My second favorite is Galilea. Galilea is a peacekeeper, a sword and shield, a female warrior, amazing, and kind of always fighting to control this black energy that boils in her as she fights and goes into combat. That just continues to boil out of her armor, changes her almost this like demon appearance. You've seen that, right? And just does an immense amount of damage. She's a little bit more confined to the area, but when she decides she's going to own a territory, she owns the territory. And last but not least, I couldn't leave this interview without saying one of our last announced characters and one of just the most unusual and comedic and fun and awesome characters in the game, El Dragon, who is our luchador. Eldragon is amazing. He's a melee character. It's all punching and wrestling moves. He has a clothesline. He can run through enemies and knock them down. He has a ground slam. He can jump up and kind of belly flop and do an AoE damage around it. And his ultimate is all about just making everything better. It's called On Fuego. And he comes back and sets on fire, and then all of his other abilities take on other damage characteristics too. But he is so fast with fast cooldowns. I mean, if you really just like kind of similar to Arendi, but in a lot more direct melee way. While she sits back a little bit with damage, Eldragon just runs right in and body slams people and clotheslines them. He even can create a virtual wrestling ring at one point and bring all the, I think it's called Ring of Fire. And it's like a ring and there's fire in it. It's a little bit different take on that, but it's really cool. He's one of my favorite. I think he's going to be favorite for a lot of people.
It's so good. I was playing with Galilea before, and she's kind of like if Master Chief was a woman but a knight and awesome. Wow, okay. It was freaking fantastic.
That's a good way to think about that. Yeah.
It was really cool. And I think, with 25 characters, there's going to be someone for everyone's going to have at least like one or two or even 25 favorites. Sure. Just going more deeply into sort of the systems of the game, there are sort of two progression systems in the game. You've got the in-match ones and the overall sort of overarching one. Yeah. Could you just sort of go into a little bit more detail about how both of those things sort of pan out?
Certainly. So in Battleborn, every time you play one of our story episodes or a competitive match, you always start at level 1 as your Battleborn character, and you level up to 10 in the course of the match by killing enemies or completing objectives that give you experience. We love that because, again, it's a very fast take on the RPG loop. When we made Borderlands, it's much slower RPG. You're leveling up every you were playing last night, you said every 15, 20, 30 minutes. It's a little bit longer, and it's cool. It's kind of that classic RPG formula, but we really like where kind of MOBAs took us and where every match you have that chance to ding, 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 ding. There's choices all the time. And if you make a mistake with the way you spec out a character this match, don't worry. Next match you can try it differently and all that. What's really cool about that is it makes RPG part of the competition of the game. Not only can you put your crosshairs on someone's head and pull the trigger faster, how can I grow? What can I do to grow? Can I use the systems in the game to grow and get an advantage on you by out-leveling you? And it really, I think, brings in a broader group of players and a broader class of players into the game and lets you compete in a different way, which is really awesome. On the broad growth, the meta growth you were talking about, you actually have two different things. One, we have kind of the account rank. It's called your command rank because you are the commander of Battleborn, and we want to track your progress regardless of which Battleborn you play and how that's going. But each Battleborn also has a character rank, and it goes from 1 to 15, and every time you get a new character rank, as you continue to play the same Battleborn, we're going to unlock cool new stuff, right? You're going to get some new skin colorizations for the Battleborn that change the way they appear. You're going to unlock some new taunts, so you have some really cool animations you can play whenever you kill an enemy in the match and force them to look at you taunting him and doing something clever. You also unlock some new gameplay. One of the coolest things that we have are mutations. Every Battleborn has 5 mutations, which gives you another option in those level up choices within the match. It's the Helix system we talked about just very lightly. But it gives you more ways to customize and spec out your Battleborn, and it's just full of stuff. It's a really cool way. If you like to unlock things and like to really unlock and show your mastery of a character, Battleborn has so much of that in the game. I mean, 25 characters to do that with. There's a lot of time to get in there and dig deep in the game. So it's cool.